Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Krishna
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om 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 Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Shri Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Shri Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Shri Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Shri Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukham karoti vasalam pangum rangayate girim yat kripat maham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam yat kripat maham bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today we continue with our reading and questions. Just a few short notes before that. We are happy to report that we have over 20 devotees who have applied online to become teachers with the Varnasrama College online initiative that is underway. We are preparing for a major event on the 15th of May, which will be the official inauguration of the Varnasrama College online. That day happens to be Vrishaba Sankranti, very auspicious day, and we invite devotees from all over the world actually to tune in and to be part of this live coverage. We will be having live coverage in Sridham Mayapur from the Nandi Sanctuary, which is overseen by Dayal Mukunda Prabhu and his team of devotees. He has many nice bulls there in his Goshala. Simultaneously, we have been told, we've been informed that devotees in Sharanagati in Western Canada, they will also be performing Go Puja, Go Puja in the valley in Sharanagati, where they also have some cows and some bulls as well. So we invite devotees from different places, different countries, different farm communities to join in this very auspicious event. We've come out with a logo that we have been circulating. This logo is basically showing Vrishaba, bull. Vrishaba means bull. And bull, as we know, Father Bull stands for, he is the emblem of Dharma. And Father Bull, being the emblem of Dharma, is meant to give us a very important message that through Dharma, and only through Dharma, through Sanatan Dharma, we can hope to re-establish the four pillars of a divine culture. What are the four pillars of a divine culture? And what is a divine culture? Srila Prabhupada explains, Sanatan Dharma means Varnasrama Dharma. And Varnasrama Dharma means divine culture. Divine culture means where citizens within such a culture live following basic guidelines that indicates or shows or demonstrates that they are advanced human beings or civilized human beings. What does it mean to be a civilized human being? According to Vedic knowledge, Vedic literatures, one should at least develop the 30 qualities of a human being. And the first 4 of those qualities are described as the pillars of religiosity or the pillars of Dharma. And these 4 pillars actually are in that poster that we are circulating. The whole initiative of Varnasrama College online is to give an opportunity to the maximum number of devotees within our ISKCON society and the maximum number of people outside our society, means people in general, give them the opportunity to learn and to be trained in these 4 pillars of Dharma and to develop these 30 natural qualities of a human being. And the first one begins actually with truthfulness, satyam. Satyam daya tapa saucham. So truthfulness, compassion, then discipline or austerity, and purity or cleanliness. So therefore, this is the whole purpose behind these courses that are upcoming. We invite devotees who would like to teach, who are possibly already teaching online. We're coming in contact with devotees who have been doing online teaching for some time. And as a matter of fact, this week we have 2 tutorials. One will be given by a devotee from Germany, Dhiranitai Prabhu, who has been doing online teaching using the Skype format. There are different ways in which one can present courses, and we'll be having this tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're having our second tutorial to be given by Tirtharaj Prabhu, who is based in the USA. So like this, there will be more and more opportunities. We'll be recording these tutorials so that they can be shown later on to those who have not yet registered. And in this way, we encourage more and more devotees to participate either as a teacher or as a student. In the Vedic culture, actually, there's a very nice saying that life is education and education is life. A very nice expression, full of meaning, because in a Gurukul setting, having done research in Gurukula here in India, when we interview teachers in Gurukula, they will say that, yes, I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student. In the Vedic culture, one may be taking up the responsibility of a teacher, but one understands that one is always also a student. One never stops to learn different knowledge, because Vedic literature is full of all kinds of knowledge, material knowledge as well as the spiritual knowledge. So we will go directly to our regular reading before taking up some questions. We have received more questions today, and actually we have for the first time reached over 100 questions devotees have been sending. This is chapter number 37 from the book speaking about Varnasrama, compiled by Hare Krishna Dasi quite some years back. And this is a conversation in Sridham Mayapur on the 14th of February, 1977. The title of this chapter is Varnasrama System Must Be Introduced. Varnasrama System must be introduced. Here are some of the themes. Leadership training. So we're just talking about having online tutorial. That's part of leadership training. Leadership means to keep the citizens satisfied in all respects. Another theme, Varnasrama Dharma for everyone, not just for some few people, not just for outside people, for devotees, for non-devotees, for everyone. Okay, beginning with ISKCON. Whatever your work, do it for Krishna and become perfect. Within proper Varnasrama social structure, even a Shudra can get spiritual perfection. Even a Shudra can get spiritual perfection. And the last theme, Varnasrama for the benefit of the whole human society. So this is the exchange that was taking place between a number of devotees, in particular Satsvarup Maharaj at the time and Harisari Prabhu. And there was some discussion, as often we hear, well, what about Lord Ramananda Roy? What about Ramananda Roy rejecting Varnasrama when he was being asked by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So this is the point that Satsvarup is mentioning. Lord Chaitanya, when Ramananda Roy brought this up, he said it was not possible in this age to introduce this, referring to Varnasrama. Prabhupada replies, yes, he did not say possible. Iha bhaya. The Lord replied, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was interested only on the spiritual platform. He had no idea of material side. He rejected material side. Let's continue reading. And then Satsvarup, but we don't. We do that also? Prabhupada says, no. Our position is different. We are trying to implement Krishna consciousness in everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He rejected completely material. Niskinchana, one who has nothing to do with this material world. But we are not going to be niskinchana. Interesting. We are not going to be niskinchana. We are trying to cement the troubled position of the... Then Prabhupada interrupts. That is only in the prescription of Bhagavad Gita. We're not rejecting the whole society. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected everything. Iha bhaya. Rejected meaning I do not take much interest in this. It is external. He was simply interested in the internal, the spiritual. So Prabhupada explains the mood, mentality of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in responding to the various statements made by Ramananda Roy. Then Prabhupada continues here. But our duty is that we shall arrange the external affairs also so nicely that one day they will come to the spiritual platform very easily, paving the way. and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, personality like that, they have nothing to do with this material world. But we are preaching. We are preaching. Therefore, we must pave the situation in such a way that gradually they will be promoted to the spiritual plane. Which is not required. So Satsarup answers, Varnasrama is not required. Then Prabhupada answers, not required. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denied, I am not Brahmana, I am not Kshatriya, I am not this, I am not this. He rejected. But in the Bhagavad Gita, the Chatur Bhagavam Maya Sristam, according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. So we are Krishna, preaching Krishna consciousness. It must be done. Very sorry. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's practical preaching, he only induced them to chant. Prabhupada, that is not possible for ordinary man. Very sorry. What? To simply induce people to chant? Prabhupada, very sorry. He only introduced just the chanting. Very sorry, he's telling Prabhupada. But who will chant? Who will chant? That's true. But if they won't chant, then neither will they train up in the Varnasrama. That's the easiest. Prabhupada answers, the chanting will be there. But you cannot expect that people will chant like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Or sometimes he would give the example of Haridas Thakur. They cannot even chant 16 rounds. What to speak of chanting like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Haridas Thakur? They cannot even chant 16 rounds. These rascals are going to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sasarup, no, but if they at least will chant and take some prasad, Prabhupada, chanting will go on. That is not stopped. But at the same time, the Varnasrama Dharma must be established to make the way easy. Well, at least my own understanding was that the chanting was introduced in the age of Kali because Varnasrama is not possible. Prabhupada, because it will cleanse the mind. Chanting will not stop. So therefore the chanting was introduced to replace all the systems of Varnasrama. And like that. Prabhupada, yes, it can replace, but who is going to replace it? People are not so advanced. If you imitate Haridas Thakur to chant, it is not possible. We tell them, go on with your job, but chant also. Yes. Go on with your prescribed duty, Prabhupada replies, and chant Hare Krishna. As mentioned by Bhakti Thakur, Apnara Kajaki. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended Sthane Stita, remaining in the Varnasrama Dharma. And if they do not remain in the Sthana, then the Sahajas chanting will come. Just like the Sahajas also have got the beads, but they have got 36 women. This kind of chanting will go on. Just like one particular devotee, name withheld, he was not fit for sannyas, but he was given sannyas. And 5 women he was attached to. Therefore, Varnasrama Dharma is required. Simply Shor bottle will not do. So the Varnasrama Dharma should be introduced all over the world. Satsarup, introduced starting with ISKCON, within ISKCON community. Prabhupada, yes. Brahmana Kshatriya, there must be regular education. And just a few more lines because this point is also very important. But in our community, means in ISKCON, being as we're training up as Vaishnavas, Prabhupada, yes. then how will we be able to make divisions in our society? Proper answer is, Vaishnava is not so easy. The Varnasrama Dharma should be established to become a Vaishnava. It is not so easy to become Vaishnava. And then Harisari replies, no, it is not a cheap thing. This reminds us of the statement made by Srila Bhakti Thakur, which we quoted some time back, how the Varnasrama system is for the Vaishnavas in their conditioned state. So it is not that from the very first day or the very first month or even the very first year of practicing Krishna consciousness that we become pure devotees. The level of sadhana bhakti means condition level. Sadhana. So let us go now to some of our questions here. Let's see. So we are on our 29th session today, Tuesday, the 28th of April, and we are replying to question number 87. Question number 87, which is from Mike in Switzerland. This was sent by Manuel, who's also from Switzerland, who just returned a few days back. This question was sent by my friend Mike from Switzerland. So, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. What would you recommend, to preach on the streets or live on a farm? And in bracket, on a farm which is far away, due to price of land. Far away in the sense that it's difficult to purchase, I think. Yeah. Or which has more priority, according to Srila Prabhupada? What is to be prioritized? What is priority? To be out on the streets doing Harinam, distributing books, or to live on a farm? Srila Prabhupada established both as important aspects of our preaching movement. Srila Prabhupada considered both of these activities as preaching activities as well. When we cannot go on the streets, which is the case at present pretty well all over the world, then we find other means to reach out to people. Simultaneously, even when we were able to go out on the streets, even in the very early days of our ISKCON society, when Srila Prabhupada registered ISKCON in 1966, within 2 years he had already started the New Vrindavan community in West Virginia, in North America. So, Srila Prabhupada considered the development of these projects, introducing this natural lifestyle of simple living and high thinking from the very beginning of his movement. What service one should take up either preaching in the cities, by going out on book distribution, by assisting in various services in our city temples, or whether one should be out in a farm community, out in a village, developing the traditional lifestyle. This will be decided in consultation with seniors, and it should be determined especially by those who are more realized. So of course, here you're asking, according to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada did not make such a distinction. This question actually had come up during Srila Prabhupada's presence. What is better? What is more pleasing to Krishna and to yourself? What is a better service? Distributing your books or other services? It became a very heated debate actually, and controversy. So Srila Prabhupada resolved the issue by explaining that actually devotional service is transcendental. One can be rendering the topmost of devotional service simply by sweeping the floor in the temple, or by being engaged in any kind of menial service, because what is most important is the consciousness in which activities are performed. There is an urgency. Srila Prabhupada felt that there was a great urgency to simultaneously distribute his books and also to establish these communities and to show and demonstrate. Distributing Prabhupada's books, what does it mean? It means conveying or giving the message that is in the books. It means giving an opportunity for people to read the instructions, the standing orders or instructions, and to understand about Dharma. So therefore, a very important section of those instructions that are in our Vedic literatures, that are there in Srila Prabhupada's books, is to take up this lifestyle, simple living, high thinking. In other words, part of the responsibility of those preachers who are out in the streets, either performing Harinam or distributing books, is to actually convey this message, although time is very short, because Prabhupada wanted devotees especially to distribute the maximum number of books and not to spend hours and hours speaking to individuals, although sometimes, depending on the receptivity of individuals, it is very good to spend some quality time with persons who are receptive. But generally, the idea was to distribute the maximum number of books, and this is very much still the case. There can be follow-up in different ways. That's a whole other topic in itself, a very important one. So the idea is that preachers, whenever there is an opportunity, or those who do follow-up, they should know that actually it is not simply that one take up the practice of Krishna consciousness in the matter of chanting the holy name, in the matter of following the 4 rules and regulations, but part of the message that we are meant to give to the public, either directly when we meet people out on Harinam Sankirtan, or when we do follow-up through contacts that are taken when book distributors are distributing books, is to give this message that actually there is a more sattvic, natural, simplified, practical lifestyle, which is connected with cows, connected with land, which is within a rural or agrarian context that will more easily facilitate. And as Prabhupada mentioned just a few minutes ago in what we were reading, there is that natural system, God-made system, God-created system of Varna and Asrama, most scientific. The scientific aspect of Varnasrama is unknown, completely unknown actually to those who are not devotees, and greatly unknown. The intricate scientific aspects of Varnasrama are largely unknown to many of our own devotees. So therefore, as Prabhupada rightly explained, this Varnasrama system is meant to be followed because it's in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna consciousness means to follow the instructions of Lord Krishna in applying the system of Varnasrama to facilitate one's becoming a devotee, to facilitate that one can become a Vaishnava. And Prabhupada in this conversation we just heard a little while ago was telling we will not falsely imitate Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simply all day long chanting. We also will take care of the externals. Lord Chaitanya was totally oblivious. Because he was totally absorbed on a level that the vast majority of us cannot so easily attain, or cannot at all attain. So therefore, the recommended process is this Varnasrama, and therefore these communities, these farm projects have so much of importance because one can live in a practical way what is being taught actually in these books that we distribute. So if one is confused, in Kali Yuga there's a lot of confusion. If one is confused as to which activity one should take up, then this will depend on each individual, and therefore we cannot give a blank statement that everyone should go out preaching in the cities, or we cannot also give the opposite instruction that everyone should leave the cities and go out in the farm communities. Generally, the preaching is a very specialized activity. Of course, everyone in different ways can take up to the preaching. Simultaneously, we need to balance, and this is most important. We need to balance these two activities of preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, number one, and secondly, we need to live in a practical way. We need to demonstrate the instructions that are given by those who are preaching. And as we mentioned earlier, also, preaching is not only in the cities, out distributing books, out making devotees. Preaching is also very much there in being in the country, developing these communities, because for a devotee, whatever we do, it is performed for the pleasure and for the satisfaction of Lord Krishna. So the bottom line here is, this is another point also, that the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, he was very expert. Those who are more advanced devotees, they are more easily able to understand these principles of Kala Deshapatra, time, place, and circumstance. Time, place, and circumstance. So Srila Prabhupada wanted both of these activities to go on simultaneously, and therefore one can approach senior Vaishnavas to determine which activity one should be taking up. For both, whether one is preaching in the cities or whether one is out in the country, there is some training, basic training that is needed or required in order for one's activity to actually be successful. Let us go on to another question. Oh, actually, there were like two parts in this question, so I'll just read the last portion. Without knowing that we should live on the farms, introducing Varnasrama Dharma, we cannot do it. Why are not more leaders preaching about these topics? Sometimes it feels like a conspiracy, and we want to avoid this topic. Thank you for your answers, Maharaj. So this is a good question. Why are not more leaders preaching about these topics? Well, I suppose one should ask directly some of the leaders why they are not preaching more about these topics. There have been and there are standing resolutions from our topmost leaders within our ISKCON society as to the need for everyone, especially those in leadership position, to, for example, every time someone is giving a Srimad Bhagavatam class, this is actually a GBC resolution I passed about 10 years ago, I believe, whereby anyone who's giving a Srimad Bhagavatam class should give 10% of the time to speak about Varnasrama. Unfortunately, that is not happening. It should be happening, especially when the verses speak about Varnasrama. But I have witnessed classes where it speaks about Varnasrama and the speaker does not even say one word about it. It's a subject matter which has not sufficiently been taken up individually by the rank and file devotees, and especially I would say by our leaders. And therefore it as one GBC member mentioned to me a few years ago, it is not considered a priority. It is not amongst the different priorities that are there. It is not considered a priority, which is unfortunate, because actually 50% of any activity should be given its due priority. Yeah. So devotees can actually do something in that they can raise some of these questions or request some of the leaders in their area or community to speak on the subject matter, or to encourage devotees, as we were mentioning in some of our previous discourses. Actually, every single temple once a week should be having readings on this book speaking about Varnasrama. In as much as a number of temples, they have regular weekly readings about Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, so that especially new devotees can come to learn about who is that personality, Srila Prabhupada. In the same way, some temples have weekly classes on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Otherwise, we never really get to hear about these wonderful pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, or even before retiring in Jagannath Puri as a householder before taking sannyas, or after immediately taking sannyas and traveling all over India, preaching, introducing Krishna consciousness. So therefore, what we don't hear about so often, it's a very nice system to introduce in a very systematic way. A weekly reading on the Prabhupada Lilamrita, a weekly reading on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and a weekly reading. I mean, once a week is the minimum. Is the minimum to hear about what Srila Prabhupada has to say about Varnasrama. So, I cannot say much more on this point right now, except to encourage devotees to, by reading more Srila Prabhupada's books, by hearing more lectures directly from Srila Prabhupada, and I highly recommend, we will have this on our Varnasrama College online. We will put this up very shortly. All of the lectures, all of the conversations by Srila Prabhupada related to the topic of Varnasrama. And there are many, and very important discourses and exchanges that Srila Prabhupada had, as we are reading actually at the beginning of each of our sessions. We can go to the next question, which can be possibly our last question for today. And let's see here. Here's another question from SSKBK. And this is from Chris. Again, Chris has many questions. That is very good. This is question number 89. We have some recurring devotees who are inquisitive, which is very good. Devotees should be inquisitive. Tad vidi pranipatena, Pariprashnena, Prashna, that's what this whole program is about, yes. So, Om Sri Sarvaya Namaha, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavats. Please accept my obeisances, all grace to Srila Prabhupada. My question is that sometimes a devotee is attached to a particular cow or bull. Actually, Chris is looking after some particular cows here at our SSKBK, because their family moved recently, a few months back, and they had their own cows, so they brought 3 of their gear cows with them. So I believe it's in this context this question is being asked. My question is that sometimes the devotee is attached to a particular cow or bull. So if at the moment of death he remembers that cow or bull and not Krishna, will he take a cow's body in his next life? You see, some living entities are serving Krishna in a cow's body in the spiritual world. Some devotees are serving Krishna in a tree body in the spiritual world. Some devotees are serving Krishna as Krishna's flute. Isn't it? So if one is looking after Krishna's cows, that is as good as remembering Krishna. So therefore, one who is looking after Krishna's cows and at the time of leaving one's body remembers Krishna's cow, then he will go to Krishna's cows. That is up to Krishna where he wants to send you, because Krishna's cows are both in the spiritual world and in the material world. So depending on the intensity of one's desire to go back and serve Krishna's cows in the spiritual world. Of course, for a devotee, as instructed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one is not so attached. One actually should not at all be attached where to engage in devotional service. We should be attached simply to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, whether in this material world or in the spiritual world. Why? Because when we are engaged in Krishna's service, when the quality of our devotion, the quality of our concentration, the quality of our service is very intense, very pure, then we are living already in the spiritual world. Prabhupada would explain these temples, they are a replica or oasis, just like in a desert. Oasis is a place in the desert where travelers can quench their thirst, they can take some rest, and they are relieved from their long journeys, fatigue. In a similar way, when one becomes a devotee of Krishna, engages in devotional service, especially developing a consciousness to serve Krishna's cows, to protect Krishna's cows, then one's consciousness is not of the material world. And therefore, as Krishna also nicely explains in the Bhagavad Gita, that my real devotees, who is a real devotee? Not someone who says that he's my devotee, but a real devotee is someone who says that he's a devotee of my devotee. So if one is a devotee of a cow, cows are Krishna's devotees. Cows, especially when they are cared for by devotees, their different products, their milk, and other products are used in Krishna's service, isn't it? So cows are actually ultimately all living entities in all different species of life are Krishna's devotees. Some have a more intimate contact or relationship or particular service, like the cows, for example. So therefore, if one is remembering cows upon leaving one's body, if these are devotees' cows or Krishna's cows, then there are all good chances that one will be going back to the spiritual world. Ordinary people who are attached, let's say, to cows, who don't know Krishna, who have this piety of serving cows, then they may come back as cows if they have not come in contact with activities of bhakti or devotional service. As soon as one gets this very rare and wonderful opportunity to engage in devotional service in any way, then one's eternal, we could say, one's natural life, eternal life of a devotee becomes awakened. And it is explained by our acharyas that one, even just once, who has practiced devotional service, even if only once someone has taken some prasadam, even if only once one has read a book where the name Krishna is mentioned, even if only once a person has chanted Hare Krishna, one is guaranteed to have a human birth in next life. So powerful is or are activities in devotional service. So serving Krishna's cows is a very wonderful activity because it is the same activity that Krishna was performing himself 5,000 years ago, and that he continues. His activities are not just what took place 5,000 years ago. His activities are Nitya Lila, eternal activities going on in the spiritual world and going on in the material world at different places, in different universes where Krishna incarnates and performs these eternal pastimes of Vrindavan Dham. And he performs these eternal pastimes of Vrindavan Dham to give us an opportunity. Okay, they're still here. We should have them on display actually all the time. Krishna performs these eternal pastimes of Vrindavan Dham to bring us, to invite us to also become part, to enter. That's what it means actually to develop Krishna consciousness, to enter into these eternal pastimes of the Lord. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna and the inhabitants of Vrindavan by living this simplified lifestyle. At the same time, that is not that we should be forgetting the need and importance of preaching. So both are needed simultaneously. We need devotees, and we, by Krishna's mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, Srila Prabhupada inspired so many people from the very beginning to become preachers, book distributors, and we have so many wonderful devotees who have continued to distribute books for decades and decades and continue to do that even in their old age. So this is very, very glorious, and it is something that needs to be continued. Simultaneously, this aspect of reintroducing or reestablishing what is meant to be the natural lifestyle for those who may not, for different reasons, be able to be in the front line preaching. So frontline preaching in the city requires a tremendous dedication, training, etc. Not everyone is able to do that. Therefore, we could say that the vast majority of devotees are not able to do that. Therefore, those who are especially not able to do that, these activities and this lifestyle of living in a village similar to what Krishna lived in Vrindavan Dham 5,000 years ago is what we should be endeavoring to do as well. So we will bring our discourse to a close today. Please do visit our website as well as our Facebook that was just registered yesterday. We have given the name Varnasrama College Network, Varnasrama College Network, and then varnasramacollege.com. That is our website that is giving all kinds of information regarding the various courses that will be given starting on the 15th of May. And students, I'll finish on this point here, those who are interested to register as students, we will begin 1 week before the official opening of the Varnasrama College on the 8th of May. On the 8th of May, registration for students will begin. So you can just visit our website and the information will be given how to register online. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki
Jai.
Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Hare Bol.